Well, here we are, about to go into the second trial of Donald J. Trump, the second impeachment trial. Um, can someone in office not be impeached? Well, certainly it's been done before, um, or at least tried. Blount, the senator from Tennessee, this is our first impeachment, conspired with the British and other various Indian tribes to enrich his family. Open and shut case. They had a letter from him which said what he was up to. The House impeached Blount while he was still a senator. The Senate expels him, and then after they expel him, they try him. There are some people who wondered whether or not this was a good idea or not, but you know, nevertheless, there was no question that the Senate at this time, and there were at least three members in the House who had been in the Constitutional Convention of 1787, they didn't have any trouble with this. So Blount is found not guilty. There were two constitutional questions that apparently encouraged senators not to vote. One was whether or not you can try a representative of the people. Shouldn't you leave it up to them to reelect him or diselect him, as it were? And the second thing, of course, is can you try a civilian? The senators were pretty evenly divided on this issue, but the Senate did hold a trial. And so that precedent that here's a civilian, here's someone who was in office, and we still tried him, is pretty clear. The second one was Belknap-Grant Secretary of State, and this was in 1876. Belknap was guilty of bilking the Department of War, he and his family, for large amount of money. He resigned before he could be impeached, literally the morning before he would have been impeached. This was another open and shut case. There was no question as to what Belknap did. And then the House of Representatives, the guy's a civilian. They impeach him despite the fact that he's no longer in office. And the Senate now holds a rather extraordinary session, and they vote 37 to 29 that they could try someone who was no longer in office. Now, there's a little more clear precedent here. The trial went forward, but those senators who believed Belknap could not be tried prevented the two-thirds vote. So more than half of the senators believed he could be tried, and of course was guilty. But more than a third, because you need a two-thirds vote to convict, more than a third believed that he shouldn't have been tried. But again, you have two precedents in which somebody who is no longer in office gets tried. The House had voted that an elected representative can be impeached. So, if you're a senator or member of the House of Representatives, they can expel you, but they can also impeach you. And the advantage of impeaching you is you don't get reelected. You don't stand for reelection. They can forbid you from doing so. The House has voted that an ex-official can be impeached in two different circumstances. In both cases, the Senate had a trial, so it appears that U.S. precedent favors Congress's impeachment of ex-officials. The key British precedent here, and British precedents are very powerful in American law. Warren Hastings, the ex-governor general of India, this trial, his impeachment trial, was going on as they were writing the U.S. Constitution. And if you read the newspaper at the time, everybody was following this impeachment. So they knew what was happening. And the way impeachment is framed in the American Constitution reflects to a great degree what was going on over in England at the time. But he was impeached and tried after his resignation from office and his return to Britain 4 years after he left office. So 4 years, that's pretty decisive there. So the American founders, as I say, were well aware of the event. Hastings trial figured in the creation of the Constitution and the debates over approving it. There were ratifying conventions. The ratifying conventions considered the issue of Hastings in terms of each state held a ratifying convention, and the Hastings matter got a considerable amount of attention in the ratifying convention. In fact, it became shorthand. Instead of saying impeachment, you said Hastings. So we know that the founders wanted to have impeachment very narrowly defined, and they took a lot of steps to make certain that impeachment would be narrowly defined. And had the founders intended that only sitting officials could be impeached, they could have said so. They didn't say so. The rule of thumb is this: is impeachment exists to try cases when normal law will not suffice. And so that seems to leave in place the idea that an ex-senator or ex-president or ex-representative or ex-cabinet member can be impeached and tried. I realize that from the point of view of working in such a partisan era, that a lot of you would consider this an anti-Trump video. It's not. I teach impeachment, and frankly, I don't think that the idea that an ex-president can be impeached and tried is at all odd. It's perfectly in keeping with the precedents, and actually these precedents stretch back to the 1300s. If I had done the entire history of impeachment, would have a 45-minute video out there, and I don't know that it would do anybody much good. But a short video like this, this is really, as I said, it's not anti-Trump. This is pro-law. This is pro-precedent. This is pro-constitution. I think it's something that should be said. And so we'll let this impeachment coming up play out, or the trial play out. And I hope everyone watches and pays attention. I also hope that everybody stays calm and stays safe and stays healthy. Okay. And maybe someday, we'll actually be having lectures in public instead of doing things in videos. But I'm happy to do these videos, and everybody take care.